the last thing we were talking about, morning, the last thing we were talking about was the Mishnah said about saying the bracha of Atova HaMeitiv. The Mishnah said that you say Tova HaMeitiv al Akshamim, on rain. And Mishnah also says you say Atova HaMeitiv on rain. And also the Mishnah says that you say Atova HaMeitiv on Vesuro Tovo, on hearing good news. That's what the Mishnah said. You will say the bracha of Hatov HaMeitiv. So when it rains, and the Shulchan Aruch says, when, let's say, if there was a time period, there was a drought, you didn't have rain, and then it rained, certain amount of rain. If a certain amount of rain came down, then you would say a special bracha of Modim. The Shulchan Aruch says you will say the bracha of Modim. There's a special bracha of Modim, not Hatov HaMeitiv. And the Gemara is going to, that's the Gemara's question. What is the proper bracha that you say when there's abundance of rain after there was a drought? The Mishnah stated that the bracha is Hatov HaMeitiv, Baruch Atah Hashem. That was the Mishnah. By the way, this parak, the whole parak is based off of one big long Mishnah and the Mishnah stated on Nun Dalet Amud Aleph that on Shamim, on rain, we say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Hatov HaMeitiv. First, I want to welcome everybody that's on the screen. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. So we have the Mishnah that states that the bracha for rain is Hatov HaMeitiv. Right? We're all familiar with the bracha Hatov HaMeitiv, that if something is something that you buy something that's for yourself and for other members of your family, there's a bracha of Hatov HaMeitiv for such an item. Technically, if you go ahead and you buy, seemed to me, if you buy a car, a family car, person should make the bracha Hatov HaMeitiv. You have to ask the poskim in the Sephardic community if they do that or not. But that's something that in the Ashkenaz community, if you buy an item that's beneficial for yourself and for other members of your family, and it's a special item, it's something that you have a lot of simcha, you have a lot of happiness that you bought such an item. It's not like you just bought you bought a one glass, and for the family. You bought a whole. Technically, the halacha discusses. Let's say if a person would buy, you buy an expensive pair of dishes, expensive silverware. The halacha says that you would say a bracha for such a thing. If you buy yourself, you would say a shechianu. If multiple people, you would say Hatov HaMeitiv. Hatov HaMeitiv is a bracha that we're going to see in the Gemara is for multiple people. When multiple people benefit from this item, when this goodness that happened, you benefited and someone else is benefiting from it. It's good for you and for somebody else. So the Mishnah stated, getting back to Al Gemara, the Mishnah stated, good morning, Akiva. Good morning, Yosef. Good morning, everybody who's on. So the Mishnah stated that you say on rain, Hatov HaMeitiv. That's the bracha. And then the Gemara had a question. What do you mean? There's another bracha for rain. When you have rain after a drought, there's a special modim. It's a similar to the modim that we have in the Shemona Esrei and the Amidah. It's very much more similar to the Nishmat Kochai that we say on Shabbat. Nishmat Kochai before Baruch Hu, we thank Hashem for everything, and it goes like Modim Anach Melach Al Kol Tipa V'Tipa. We thank you Hashem for every drop of rain that you gave to us, and then you say you also say Ilafilu. If our mouths were as wide as the oceans, we would not be able to thank you for everything you do for us. It's a different bracha. It's a much more extensive, much more longer bracha. And by the way, the commentaries point out, usually a bracha begins with a Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam. And I think, so why is it this bracha begins with Modim? Doesn't start with a Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam. And also when you travel, Tfilat HaDerech, when you travel, how does it, the bracha, it starts Yirasom Ufanecha, right? You should travel safely and so on and so forth. And how do you end the bracha? Baruch Atah Hashem Shomea Tfilah. So what happened? It didn't start with a Baruch. So maybe it's the Ritva, one of the Mepharshim explained, the bracha that the Gemara says requires an opening with a Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Machalam is a bracha on a mitzvah or a bracha on food. It's a bracha that you have pleasure, a bracha that you have pleasure, that you benefit from. On Besamim, you say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Machalam. Depending on the spice, you say Bori Minei Besam or Isri Besam, Atzi Besam, whatever it is. But that's a benefit. You're having a pleasure. A bracha that has, or your tefillin, you say a bracha Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Machalam. But if it's a request, or if it's a thank you to Hashem, or you request or a thank you, that type of blessing does not need to open up with a baruch. So therefore, that's why you'll find this phenomenon. But tefillat derech, what's tefillat derech? You're making a request from Hashem. You're not thanking Hashem for something specifically, like you do in, or you're not like Berachos mitzvah. You're thanking Hashem that you commanded us on a mitzvah. But you hear that you're making a request, you're traveling. Or when you're thanking Hashem, the whole thing is just thank you. It's not on a mitzvah. It's just I'm thanking God for something. So doesn't necessarily have to start with the baruch. But therefore, modim, this bracha of modim does not start with the baruch. Daniel, is it clear? Okay. So now, to the Gemara asked the question, we have an apparent contradiction because we're in Nun Tes Amud Beis 59b. You told me in the Mishnah for rain, the bracha is Hatov v'Hameitiv, a very short bracha. Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Hatov v'Hameitiv. And yet we have this recorded a different bracha for rain. Modim anachnu lach, a bracha of modim. So the Gemara, that's what we're up to in the Gemara. Elakasha. The first word of the line is hohodot. First word of the line on Nun Tet Amud Beis. Daniel, you have it, hohodot. On the right side, it's about a little bit halfway down. Hohodot. Mr. Haber will. Elakasha. So the Gemara is saying, how do we explain this apparent contradiction? So the Gemara says, "Ha the other purta, ha the other tuva." It depends how much rain came down after you had this drought, and you're so happy and so besimcha, so happy with this rain. How much rain came down that you're going to go ahead and say a bracha? So if a little bit of rain came down, there's one type of bracha. And if a lot of rain came down, that's what the Gemara wants to say, there's a different bracha. So Rashi, we said last time that Rashi said, if a small amount of rain comes down, you say the modim bracha. The bracha, we thank you for every drop. Modim anachnu, we thank Hashem for every alkol tipa v'tipa, for every drop of rain that comes down. And then if a lot of rain comes down, then we say, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Hatov, the one who is good, Hameitiv, that does good for others. That is the difference. The first approach of the Gemara wants to suggest that the difference recording of what type of blessing you recite over rain after a drought is depending how much rain came down. That will affect the text, the language of the blessing. That is answer number one of the Gemara. A few answers of the Gemara. The Gemara suggests another answer. The Gemara, Daniel, you got it? The Gemara says maybe both, you could suggest that both situations, as Mr. Haber used to like to say, if the case is different, many times the law is different, right? Case, law, and reason. So the first Gemara answer was the case is different. Case is different, the law is different. Not always is the case is different makes the law different. Apples and oranges. One's an apple, one's an orange. You say Bor Bri'etz on the apple, you say Bor Bri'etz on an orange. It's a different case. One's an apple, one's an orange. But that doesn't affect the difference. If it's an apple and it's a tomato, that it's a different case, that makes a difference. Sometimes when things make differences, the fact that it's a different case. And then the Gemara says, Ibayit Ema. First word of Allah, Ibayit Ema. Hadad Tuva. A lot of rain came down. Lukash. Hadi Isle Ara. And this is going to be the halachic answer. It depends if you have rain, if you have land, or if you don't have land. It depends, the Gemara says, and the Gemara is going to also qualify this if you have land and you have a partner in the land with you. If you have land and you have a partner in the land, wife, family, you're not a single bachelor, then the bracha will be hatova hamektiv. It was good for me, it's good for the other members of the family. It's a personal thing that I personally benefit in my personal property. But if the person does not have land, he's a businessman that does not own land, so that person says a different bracha. Says that we thank Hashem for the rain that you've given to the world, recognizing the rain. It's more of a general blessing of recognition because every person gains by the fact that there's rain, but it's not. But the person gains less when he personally doesn't have land, right? It's like depending on what profession you're in, it's like how people people benefit greater. Different people, certain things affect them more. Obviously, if a guy has land, the rain affects him more than a person doesn't have land, even though technically he will be affected, the prices will be better in the market, but it's still a different level of effect than a guy whose whole parnassah, his whole business is dependent on the rain. So that's what the Gemara says. Itle ara. So then the Gemara asks the question. Itle ara. You're telling me when you have land, when you have real estate, the bracha, and then it rains, the bracha is hatova hametiv. You're telling me that the blessing is hatova hametiv. So the Gemara, hatova hametiv mevarech. But Tanya, we learned in a Braita, we have a Braita that we have a different thing. When I got a person, something very good thing happened to me, it says I say a shechianu. So what is this bracha that you're telling me hatova hametiv? We know we have there's a different bracha that we say when something very special happens to the person. So Tanya, we learned in a Braita, Bana bayit chadash. A person built a new home. He built a new home, or kana kelim chadashim. He went ahead and he acquired new utensils, new items that are very chashuv. Let's say you bought a new suit, something which you don't get every day, something where you feel a great simcha, you feel a very joyous occasion that you bought a new suit. So omesh baruch shechiyanu, say baruch atah Hashem l'chalam shechiyanu v'kimanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh. That you reach this time period that you're able to afford a suit. So so we see that the bracha is shechianu, not hatova hametiv. That is the Gemara's question. Now, the halach in Shulchan Aruch, it says really that technically when a person, the simcha, the happiness is on the buying. I bought a new suit. And therefore, technically, even if I did not start wearing the suit yet, like I buys an expensive watch, not a $10 watch, expensive watch. He bought the watch, the simcha, the happiness. I bought it. I got it. I bought this beautiful thing. So even if he didn't use the item yet, technically he should be able to make the bracha of shechianu. Now we know by a suit, anything like by a suit, we say that anything that since you can't use a suit that you can't use as is because it needs to be tailored, we will not say the bracha on when you buy the suit. You wait until the suit is already tailored, ready to roll, and then we put it on, and then we go ahead and we say the shechianu bracha. You should know in Shulchan Aruch it says that you're not only supposed to say a shechianu on the new suit, you're supposed to say the bracha malbish arumim on the suit, which means and the Mishnah Chofetz Chaim says if you put on the suit in the morning, so then the malbish arumim that you say in the morning will cover the suit. But it seems from the Chofetz Chaim, when you put on the suit late in the day, most of the time if you wear a new suit and you're putting it on in the afternoon before Shabbat, before Yom Tov, you need to say two brachot, malbish arum now, and morning Nathan. The Aruch HaShulchan and the Chofetz Chaim disagree. What is the order of the brachot? Do you say first malbish arumim and then shechianu, But you say Shechianu, and then you say Malbish Arumim. I would like to suggest, we have to look into it, but I'd like to suggest that we know that we have the rule of Tadir V'She'ena Tadir Tadir Kodem. The thing that we do more frequently, every day we say the bracha Malbish Arumim. So that I would like to suggest, perhaps that could be the reasoning behind the Chavetz Chaim. I didn't look into it, but maybe if I have two brachos to say, we always go with the more common first. So therefore, Malbish Arumim should be first. That's the more common bracha, and the Shechianu should be second. The other opinion says no. First say Shechianu. But really, you were supposed to. Really, there's a great simcha in the buying of it. So maybe that's why they want to put. And now, but you didn't say the bracha when you bought it. You waited till you put it on. So maybe therefore you should just say the Shechianu really kicked in first. Really, the responsibility and the obligation of Shechianu kicked in first. So therefore, you should. To those opinions say Shechianu, then you say Malbish Arumim. In practice, I don't know that people say this Malbish Arumim bracha. My father-in-law, Rabbi London, taught his daughter, my wife, to say this bracha. So she would say, if she would buy a new dress, something that's not a $10 dress, something that's, she would say both brachot, Malbish Arumim and Shechianu. But it doesn't seem that so many people are do that, even though it says clearly in the Shulchan Aruch. I mean, it's not like it's some sort of mysterious sefer brought down and somewhere that you found somewhere. So it's open. Malbish Arumim, if you buy a new suit, it says you go ahead and when you wear it, you go ahead and you say the bracha Malbish Arumim and Shechianu. Both bracha. That's what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. So it's something that now practice for whatever reason. That's what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. Something to think about, something to look into, and maybe to avoid it in the morning, maybe we should put on the suit in the morning. Put on the suit in the morning, and we said a Malbish Arumim in the morning. So then okay, it's a Malbish Arumim. Morning, Nathan. What? Right, Malbish Arumim. Hashem clothes the people that are naked. So therefore, we recognize, we appreciate. Like when they said when you put on your clothing in the morning, originally what they would do is, if I gave you the proper good morning, Nathan. The originally when they would put on the different things you would do, you would say the bracha as you do it. When you put on a belt, Ozei Yisab Gvura, Hashem girds the Jewish people with strength. You put on a hat, Ozei Yisab Sefara. When you would stand up, you would say bracha ta Hashem Zakif Kefufim. Hashem erects the people that are bent. We'll see that we're going to have this in the Gemara. So it used to be when they would get dressed, they would say, Malbish Arumim, they would say the bracha Hashem, you clothe the people that are naked. We thank Hashem for all those different things that people take for granted. The fact that we have clothing, some people in the clothing industry, I understand. That we have clothing, that we wear clothing, it's something to be appreciative, to be thankful. Open our eyes, they would say, bracha ta Hashem, overnight. We thank Hashem. Today we organize it all together. We don't do it as it happens. And it could be that's like some things get lost in the shuffle. But the fact that you don't, if you would do it maybe as the thing happens, maybe you would have more feeling towards it. But really we're supposed to be thinking about what we're saying when we say those brachos, to connect it to all those things that we are benefiting from. And we'll see that more in the Gemara. So that's what the Gemara says. So the Gemara says, because Shechianu is recognizing the uniqueness of this time period of special happiness, meaning the fact that a guy gets dressed every day, he doesn't feel that extra simcha, that extra happiness. I'm appreciative. So I recognize, thank you Hashem, that I got dressed, I got clothing. But now when I bought something unique, I bought a new suit. The lady bought a new dress, an expensive dress. So it's a special time to rejoice. And there's a great feeling of happiness. That's what triggers the bracha of Shechianu v'Kimanu v'Giyonu lazman hazeh. We thank you Hashem that we reached this opportunity, that we're able to have such a happy happy time, happy to have this dress or this. You should know that I saw the Chavetz Chaim brings down, if you buy utensils, let's say in the old days, They buy pots. It was a great simcha for a guy to buy a pot. So he says, Kivi Eger talks about, when do you say the Shechianu for buying the utensils? Maybe you should wait until you dip them first, and then say the Shechianu. I mean, because you have to dip the kelim. You have to do tefillat kelim. So there he just, even though we said that you say the Shechianu when there's great simcha, at the time when you buy it, generally, but since you can't use it yet, because you have to wait till it's dipped, so there he brings down the Chavetz says you should wait till you dip it and then say the Shechianu. But if you tailor it, wait till after you tailor it, and then you go ahead and you put it, after you finish tailoring it, you put it on, even though technically the halacha would state, once you finish tailoring it, now it's ready to roll, so you should be able to say the Shechianu. Because technically the Shulchan Aruch says if you buy something, even if you didn't use it yet, you could say the Shechianu. You're so happy that you bought such a thing. But we generally wait until we use it for the first time. So, and even if it doesn't need to be tailored, I think the custom is we would wait until we put it on the first time. So if you buy a new suit, you get it tailored. And remember, check for shatnez, because especially people who buy expensive clothing have more of a problem. That's the irony. The more expensive the clothing, the more likely it has shatnez. I felt very bad about that someone was telling me, Rabbi, I'm afraid to check my clothing. I'm afraid it's going to have shatnez. How can a person talk like that? It's not acceptable such talk. If it has shatnez, so you deal with it. Really, the smart person, before you buy, if you know there's certain types of shatnez that is very hard to get out, find out if this type of material is common to have shatnez. There's certain coats. What do you call it? The canary coat? What is it called? Canali. Has shatnez. One of the guys from here, I went with him. Maybe went to I took his coat. Yeah, there's the original laboratories on Lee Avenue in Brooklyn. The original one, 203. Mr. Haven knows 203 Lee Avenue. That I would recommend. That's the place on the spot. 1, 2, 3. It's done. You just walk in. The hours are. The only thing is the hours are not such long hours. It's like 2 to 6 month, but Sunday through Thursday. So people come Sunday afternoon. They come in. You bring as many suits as you want. Bring 100 suits. Doesn't make a difference to them. Whatever happens, you take your whole wardrobe and bring it down. But I bought a canali. I brought it, and it had shatnez. And it was a tough job to get out the shatnez. I think it wasn't so easy. I don't know. So the guy had a couple things that had shatnez. Very expensive stuff. So you got to be what? But he doesn't. It depends. I presume if it's very easy, he'll take it on the spot. But anything that's more detailed, you have to go to a tailor to really take out the shatnez. Right. Yes, good. First, that's good. But it's good. Yes, yeah, but that's very good. That's a very good start. If she says shatnez free, I would still check it, but I think you're in a better situation. That's very good. That's very good. But it's a real deal, real situation. Remember Rabbi Farhi mentioning marriage. Imagine a guy gets married. Oh no, he says on Yom Kippur, the guy buys a suit, nice black suit for Yom Kippur or whatever suit, and he's wearing shatnez and coming, he's praying in front of Hashem with shatnez. It's like very you want to be successful on Yom Kippur, and you're praying with shatnez. You know what? There's an expression. It's the cost of doing business. If it costs you that you lost your suit because of shatnez, okay, that's the way it is, and it's just your best. God will pay you back. Don't worry. Hashem will take care of you. You're able to afford the suit that has shatnez. Hashem, don't worry. Hashem will pay you back. Don't worry about it. So that's what we need to. It's a very
Rabbi,
serious. Yes.
Rabbi
Yes,
Fahi says also, if you're doing a Shabbat dinner and you bring out in the middle of the dinner a better wine, a bottle of wine, let's say a Tov Shemativ, to the nickname one.
Tov HaMeitiv, yes. That's also, yes. Hatov HaMeitiv, with the certain conditions that have to be met. We're going to get that. The Gemara, Yosef, the Gemara is going to talk about that, yes. But it depends when you have wine and there's other people at the table. You're not drinking the wine yourself. And we'll see more about that as we do the Gemara. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Shechianu, appreciation and recognizing. And I think it's important people need to recognize, need to say, especially that the rabbis understood, rabbis felt this for us not to take things for granted. To have some special occasion, recognize it, something unique, under certain conditions. Say a bracha, say a blessing. Thank you, thankful for this ability to have this, to be able to afford a suit, to be able to certain things. So I just found that interesting about the kelim, filat kelim. But the Kiva Eger, I think what he says is you should wait until you do fifth, you dip your utensils. Imagine, and today I would say it would be what I would say is, according to that, if a person would buy themselves for the family a nice set of dishes or a nice set of silverware, expensive, nice set of pots, expensive set of pots. Things cost money. Not everything costs $10, $20. Spencer said, there's a bracha to say for such a thing. If you buy for the family, we were able to have this again, if it's something that you don't feel happiness with, you don't feel any special, unique, you wouldn't say a bracha, you have to feel the simcha, you appreciate it. So obviously, if it's an expensive set, people appreciate, let's say for Pesach, they bought a new set of something of pots, new set of dishes, whatever it is, if there's simcha to it, it seemed like you should say the bracha. Everyone should ask the question when they have a situation. Should I say the bracha? I should see what we have to know what your minhag in your community is. You know, what your minhag of your community is. So when a person buys a car, not leases a car, buys a car, right? If you buy for the family, from everything that from the Gemara would say, you say tova meitiv. Something that's good for you, it's good for your wife, good for your kids. It's you would say bracha tova meitiv. What say that you would do, right? Right. But people might not be aware of it. Right. So let's see the Gemara. So the Gemara says, that's the Gemara's question. But now with 3 lines before the wide lines, no testament base towards the bottom. But bayit chadash, v'kana kilim chadashim, omer baruch shechiyanu v'kimanu v'gyonu lazman hazeh. You say shechiyanu v'kimanu v'gyonu lazman hazeh, and that Gimel the Vilna Gaon takes out the next few words that text. So the Gemara says, so we see the bracha is shechiyanu, not atova hametiv. So what's going on over here that we're saying when you have land and it rained and you benefited from it, that the bracha is atov v'hametiv. So the Gemara says lo kasha. It depends. Ha de islay shutvot, ha de leslie shutafot. Do you have a partner with you in this goodness that happened to you? Do you have a partner or not? If you have a partner in the land, so some learn that it means that you have a partner that owns that land. I own this land together with someone else. Since I own this land together with someone else, others learn that the fact that that other people in the world are also benefiting from the rain, that means that therefore you could say the bracha tov, that's good for me and it's good for somebody else. If I don't have a partner, I buy myself a suit, no partner in the suit. Or if a guy's a single guy and he buys a house, he builds a house for himself. So that bracha is shechiyanu v'kimanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh. But when you have a partner in this acquisition, in this item, or this benefit, then the bracha is you recognize the benefit that happened to you and to your partner. And you say, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, hatov v'hametiv. Hashem, you do good for me, and you do good for what? For the other person, meaning my partner. You should know just a little story. I was once collecting money for a guy in jail. Mr. Haber knows about the story, right? There's a guy in jail that I was involved with, and there was a guy I went to, a Hasidic guy, and he said, before he wrote the check, he said, I'm do the mitzvah of redeem the captive. And he gets and he said, he calls his partner, I want to know what's my partner's name, Hebrew name, and it says, it should be a merit for me and my partner. It's like, it was cute how he had his partner, he wanted that his partner should be part of the zchut in the mitzvah. So here, when you have a partner, you say the bracha hatov v'hametiv. Hashem, you do good for me and for the other person. So the Gemara says, Tanya, and this is also we support in the Braita. Ksuro shel davar. The general rule is al shalo, on something good that happens to you. You say shechian. Al shalo v'shel chavero. So it's good for you and your partner. You benefit and your partner benefited from it. Something good thing to happen for you or your partner, or something, or your members of your house. You say the bracha hatov, baruch hatov v'hametiv. You say the bracha of hatov v'hametiv. Okay. What do you say? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech olam. Yes, with Hashem's name. So now the Gemara says, now with 3 lines into the wide line. Any time that there's no partner, if there's no partner in it, lo mevarach hatov v'hametiv, you don't say the blessing hatov v'hametiv. V'atanya, we learned in a Braita. Amru lo, they told him, Yolda ishto zachar, your wife gave birth to a young boy. Mazel tov, Mabruk. They gave birth to a young boy. What is the bracha to say for having a young boy? So it says, what's the bracha? Omer hatov v'hametiv, and that's what it says in Shulchan Aruch, by the way. Shulchan Aruch says, now again, in practice, what people do is a different question, but in the Shulchan Aruch, it says, when you give birth, when your wife has a baby boy, you say the bracha hatov v'hametiv, and your wife says the bracha hatov v'hametiv. And if you want, you could just have her in mind. She listens to you, and you. The Shulchan Aruch would sound like right away. Doesn't sound like you wait to the Brit. Shulchan Aruch doesn't say anything about waiting to the Brit. At the Brit, you say Shechianu on the Brit Milah. But here, the Tov HaMeitiv on the baby boy, right away. They said, Yolda Ishto, your wife gives birth, you say a Tov HaMeitiv. Say a Tov HaMeitiv, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech olam, HaTov HaMeitiv. Only a boy. What about a girl? Give birth, your wife gives birth to a girl. So the Chafetz Chaim says, you say Shechianu. And he said, you say the bracha Shechianu. That's what the Chafetz Chaim says. Chafetz Chaim says, if a good friend of yours, a very good friend, close friend, one of your best friends, if you didn't see him in 30 days, and you were not in contact with him, you didn't have any phone conversation, no contact with him in 30 days, when you see him, the Shulchan Aruch said you're supposed to say Shechianu. So he says, having a baby when you see your baby girl is no less happiness than seeing your good friend that you didn't see for 30 days. So if the rabbis said there's a bracha for seeing your good friend, you didn't see in 30 days, say Shechianu. So when you go ahead and you see your baby, the first time you see your baby girl, the Chafetz Chaim says you say the Shechianu. No, your own baby, meaning your own baby girl. If Hashem gives you a baby girl, the Chafetz Chaim says you say a Shechianu. He says, and when you give birth to a baby boy, you say a Tov HaMeitiv. The difference will be in the text of the blessing. According to the Chafetz Chaim, there's a blessing that you say whether you have a baby boy or a baby girl. So the question is, what is that blessing? Name that blessing. For a boy, it's a Tov HaMeitiv. The Gemara will see more about it. And the question is, what's the difference for the bracha? Why is it? Now, by the way, the Aruch HaShulchan does not mention when you have a baby girl, you say Shechianu. He doesn't mention that. And I don't know that the Sfardim also, I don't know that they take their Mishnah Berurah's approach, because that's a chidush of the Chafetz Chaim to say, because the Shulchan Aruch says, you have a baby boy, you say Hatov HaMeitiv. Doesn't say about when you have a baby girl. Shulchan Aruch doesn't mention baby girl, but bracha, you make, do you not say it. Chafetz Chaim says you say a bracha. For Ashkenazim, they're supposed to say a bracha. That's clear. They have a baby girl, you see, first time you see a baby girl, you say Shechianu. That's the Chafetz Chaim. Now, what's the reason for the difference to the boy and the girl? So one idea is that the boy, you could say, the boy is responsible to take care of his parents, even when he gets married. So that the boy's responsibility is much stronger. When a girl gets married, the morning, her responsibility, she really, if her husband says, I want you to spend your time with me, she doesn't have really the mitzvah of honoring her parents, that she will have to take care of her parents, really goes off. She's really exempt, unless her husband is a nice guy, Husband's a nice guy, and he says to his wife, you could spend time with your parents and take care of your parents. If husband is not that type of guy, he says, no, I want, so she's technically exempt from the mitzvah of kibbut av v'em. When a woman gets married, focus of responsibility is more to her husband, and therefore she's exempt from honoring her parents if her husband says, I need you to spend your time with me. But when a man gets married, he still has that responsibility to his parents. Of course, he has to, his wife, he has to give time to his wife, and of course, he has to be smart about it. But remember, the responsibility remains. And therefore, it's a greater happiness based on that when the boy is born, because he's also, that could be one of the reasons why the simcha is greater. Have a great day, everybody. Yes, boys, girls, everyone should be blessed with all types, all children. It's all a blessing.
Thank you,
boys,
Rabbi.
girls are all blessings.
Amen.
Yes. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you. You too. Keep up your great work. Well, have a great day, everybody. Thank you all for joining.
All right. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.